is not like it's not fast food. It's you sit down and you eat and
That's how
people.
it was in Germany too.
Yeah, Germany, and you can get beer
It
there,
was good.
right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. You know, they have like in the Philippines they did have like it's called a chicken joy. So it's a piece of fried chicken, a thing of rice.
Okay.
You could get that, like that was like part of the value meal. Next to this.
The guy I dated, he was over in was it Norway for a while, I think, for some job that he was on. Like he was there 8 to 12 months.
Yeah.
And he's like, the biggest thing he had to adjust to was the fact that as Americans, when we go out to eat dinner, we're in and out in an hour. Like we want to keep going.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Like dinner didn't start till 8, and he goes, "You ate till like 11 o'clock." He said, "You didn't rush," and he said the waiters were very attentive.
Yeah.
But there was this no, come on, we need your table. Like, no,
Yeah.
drink your wine, relax. The next course is coming. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. But that's what he had to get used to over there.
Yeah.
And no refills on the soda.
That's
Well,
a tough one for a lot of us.
I know, right?
That is a tough one.
Do you want me back here or not back here?
You can come back if you want.
I want to listen in and see.
Listen in, please.
Not really buying. I think there's somebody else here recording.
Okay. Bring them back. You waved at Anchor Nation. I did wave at Anchor Nation. Carrie Ann. Corey, what's up? Pam Jackson, how you doing? Pam, I think you'll enjoy this about selling stuff. Rick Stecker, my friend, how are you?
Fine.
Are you feeling better?
Somewhat.
Okay. Camilo just had the cold, so you can probably shake his hand. He won't mind.
Okay.
Lada, how you doing? Do you know Sarah Gast? I think everybody knows Sarah, so I would kind of assume that everybody knows
Grounds
her.
to grow, yes, at other networking functions.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm gonna.
If,
I just
anywhere,
said here to
Papa
balance
Squat.
out,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that way it looks good. Then I'm going to be talking across the room. It's going to make it feel like there's a lot of people. There's 4 people, guys. It's all good. But I just care there's one person here. Pam Jackson's here online, right? And then of course Marty. So number 1 is thank you to Marty and Clay Corner Studio and having us.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
coming.
And so those of you that aren't, if you're local, you got to come to this place. Not only can you like paint stuff, but you can also throw stuff.
Yep.
Like not at people. That's inappropriate. But you can actually get clay, and you guys actually teach classes here too.
Yes.
Which is awesome. So what we're going to be talking about today is basically how we can leverage social media. And so if you want to pull your cell phone out, feel free. I'm doing an Instagram Live, Facebook Live.
In the car. I forgot.
Feel free, Rick. You can take your time, man. We're going to be running on this, and then so what we want to be able to do is talk about really leveraging social media from a retail perspective. So if you're going to sell something online or you're going to sell something face to face, what are some of the tactics and strategies there? And so that's really what we want to chat about today. But before jumping in, asking people online. Is there anything that's on your mind? And same thing on Facebook, anything on your mind? And then locally here, is there anything that you want to know for yourselves? What can I be doing to leverage the business? Or just any social media or business questions?
Can I give you an example of when social media really worked for retail?
Sure,
and
you bet.
Actually made a sale over FaceTime?
Yeah.
So my side hustle is at Nicole's.
Okay.
And I have the pleasure of taking pictures of whatever is that week's. I only work there one or two Saturdays a month.
Okay.
I'll take pictures around the store to just kind of be like inspired outfits or what's the theme that we're trying to do if there's a sidewalk sale or something. And it was really cool because last month when I posted pictures to Facebook, my page, not Nicole's, but I check in. And then my friends and family can, comment on it, or people that are from Wausau be like, "Ooh, I like that yellow top. How much is it?" etc. So where I'm going with this is my sister in Green Bay, who has visited the store when she was out here for Outrageous Weekend.
Yeah.
She saw my post and went, "I remember this specific necklace. Do you still have this in stock?" Well, talked to my colleagues. Ended up we actually have one left in stock. And then she's going through the store, like through the pictures, and she goes, "Well, I like this color, but I'm looking for more of a yellow color." So the next thing I know, we're FaceTiming, and I'm literally walking through the store, and she's like, "Ooh, try that on because we're like the same size. So try that on and see how it looks on you." So it ended up being like a 15 to 30-minute conversation.
Yep.
And my colleagues it was a slow period of the day, so we were able to kind of pull things out. But it ended up being a very nice amount of a sale because
Yeah.
she bought a couple tops and a necklace. And she didn't even have to be there in person. We were able to take her credit card over the phone, all confidential, and I can get her the materials. We don't have to ship them.
Yeah.
But the fact was, she got a shopping experience from the comfort of her chair through me using FaceTime. But it all got started because of what she saw on Facebook,
which is amazing.
Yeah, that's my story.
And then the post that. So let me just recap that really briefly. So Sarah, this little side hustle, works at a Nicole's. Is it what we heard you describe? Kind of a boutique.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a woman's boutique, and so her sister had saw a post. Was it the necklace? Or was it just something totally unrelated?
It was clothing that was on sale, or clothing in the store, but it reminded her of a necklace and got the ball going.
Which is awesome. So the post originally was of some clothing there at the store, and then her sister saw, or was reminded mentally of this necklace, asked if it was there. They ended up FaceTiming, taking around the store. And so that's one thing that we're definitely going to, it's a great story, because I think a lot of times we as business owners, we think that people know exactly what we do, and they don't.
Right.
And so they don't know that they think clay, so they think, oh, it's only going to be like I have to make it myself. I'm not that creative. When they come in, they realize, okay, there's stuff that's already here that I can paint. At the same time, it's not just acrylics, right? It's not just that. There's other things that are done here that a lot of times, from a clothing perspective, especially in clothing retail, there's tops, there's bottoms, there's stockings, there's shoes, there's accessories. There's so much out there that you don't know what's there unless it's being posted.
Right, or unless you physically come to the store.
Yep.
But if you can't get to Wausau, or you prefer to shop online. And I'll be honest, I don't know how Nicole's works her website. I have not tried to use the website or sell people on the website.
Yeah.
But it was just a great experience. It all got started because of me posting and hopefully generating more interest to have people that I know come into the business and try the clothes on and obviously become customers.
And from a convenience standpoint, you could have done that all from Facebook.
Well,
right?
yeah.
Messenger is already there.
Through Messenger. Mm-hmm.
And then the actual, you could have just phoned right from there. So think about just the convenience factor of helping people kind of navigate. So really good comment. Thanks, Sarah. Is there anything else that's maybe comments, questions that comes to mind for you guys that you want to make sure that when you walk away from today, you're like, okay, that's what I need to know. Let me just look online here. No questions on Facebook. Nothing on Instagram. Nothing, Rick? How are you, Marty?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm ready to listen.
So here's where we're going to come from so a lot of you are familiar. I have a few common pillars, I call them. One is that we live in a show me world. Number two is that I want you to be unapologetically yourself. And so what I mean by that is if you're really into, let's just call it clothing, you're going to be able to find that platform online. Like having a niche is even better because we can find out exactly what we want. I'm actually amazed at how many times we use Siri or Alexa or some kind of voice and we're asking it very specific questions and we get those answers. I overheard my son asking the other day several months ago on YouTube, he wanted to watch a specific show of Pokemon, season whatever, episode whatever, and it brought something up pretty close to it. And so that's kind of the world that we live in, is that we want to see someone throw clay, but not just clay. I want to see somebody do it with a cup, or, I want to see, what are some fun crafts that I could do as a family, different things like that. We want something specific. Because we're in the Clay Corner Studios, a lot of my examples are going to come from what I'm seeing visually. So just so you know, insert whatever that medium is that you sell, clothing, photography, coaching if it's a service, insert that into whatever I'm going to say here, because since we're in the store, I'm just going to use whatever's here in front of my eyes. So then what I have is basically, I call them 4 pillars. And so if you want to take down notes, feel free. I actually have this in a Word document that I can send to you. I prepared it, but I thought it'd make sense. Just let me know if you want, and I'll email it to you afterwards. So the 4 pillars are, number 1 is its platform. Number 2, it's content. Number 3, posting. And then finally, the 4th one is engagement. So let's jump into really the details of, if I'm using those 4 pillars, how do I do that from a retail perspective? So one thing that I will say is that if you look at your posts, and if majority of them, so if you post times and 6 of them, that's majority, are about sales, you're conditioning your audience to only buy when you're sales. So you're basically Kohlsifying, right? Kohl's, for those of you familiar in the U.S., KOHL''S, huge. It started here in Wisconsin, so I like this company, but they're known for having sales all the time. And so if you go there, do you ever buy anything full retail? No. You wait 1 week, and then there's a sale. And so what happens there is that if you're posting things out that's always about a sale, then people are just going to wait for there to be a sale. And so they're not going to want to buy because you basically train them to only buy when there's a sale. And so the other thing that when it comes to, let's just take a step back then. If we look at your platform, number one is kind of start with your audience. What does your audience, who are they? So the average age right now is like in the 40s on Facebook. And in our community, in Wausau, small community by the way, entire county, 135,000. Lotta, what's up girl? So what happens is we have 130-some thousand people in our county. Facebook has the most amount of eyes. And then it filters down from there to Instagram and then to Twitter. Maybe there's enough kids on Snapchat and Musical.ly. But really for us in our community, Facebook's really where the eyes are. And then from a retail perspective, because you're going to want to show people products and services, the beauty is then Instagram and Facebook. Because Instagram, it's built on, it's a picture and video sharing platform. So it's people expect to see photos there. Like, I always find it interesting that people will post text on Instagram when I'm like, it's just not the platform for it. I mean, does someone view it and like it? Sure, but everyone's a motivational speaker or motivational quote like push or outer. The problem is that people like motivational quotes, is that a lot of times you don't get a lot of engagement. You might get a lot of likes, it feels good, but it doesn't mean anything. So the platforms I think for retail that are real winners is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube if you have employees or you want to show stuff. Like I think about this space and I think about throwing, getting on a wheel, taking that clay and molding it and kind of showing that. I think you can show a lot of cool videos with that tool. Or here's this white product. We got it. It's unglazed, it's unpainted, it's just bland. And then let me show you quickly in a video, and I can speed it up 8 times the speed of me painting it. Go, put it in the kiln, and then boom, here's the finished product. So in a sense, I'm doing a before and after photo, but I'm doing it kind of video style. And I think YouTube is a great place to be able to capture that as a way to just, because it can be longer videos, and it kind of speak on two tongues on this one. So one is that's where a lot of young people are. And so if you plan on being in business in 10 years, you want to capture that young audience now. So that way when they're in their 20s or 30s, they remember watching, what you're doing. And so the other thing, when it comes to then your platform, Facebook, Instagram, what would you, from a content perspective, what are you putting up? Everything. Like right here, there's enough content in here to fill like 2 years worth of photos and videos. And so here's one thing that kind of people push up against. They're like, oh, but it's not that enticing. To you, it's not. But to everybody else, it totally is, right? Like what you do in your line of business is totally foreign to mine. And so I find it very fascinating. Where for you, because you're in it, it kind of becomes normal. And it reminds me of, if you've ever gone to like a foreign country, when you first get there, everything's new and, oh, that's really kind of cool. And then after a while, the novelty wears off and, seeing a guy in underwear in downtown New York, Times Square, now it's normal. We see the naked cowboy all the time. So he's normal. Where for most places, that would be really weird. Especially in our community. You'd probably die. You need clothing out here. So the next step in regards to content is there's this phrasing out there, document. So think of that like video or picture journaling. That's what you want to be able to do. And so again, what's average and normal to you is interesting to other people. And so that's what you're kind of that's what document means. You're just journaling what's happening. The other one then is understanding that there's different ways that you like to communicate. You might be more comfortable in front of a camera, so you like the video format, you're visual, or you're more auditory. So maybe you like a podcast, maybe you just like to listen to other people. And then of course there's the written word. The blogs are still awesome. I find that there's a good one for blogs when it comes to mediums out there. Your website can be a blog, but even Facebook now, I'll personally read 3 or 4 paragraphs at one time if I find the content interesting. And so that's really interesting to me because I'll never do that in Instagram. The caption's too long, I'm like, forget it, because I expect something different. Even on LinkedIn, again, a more professional site, I don't know if that'll be really utilized very well from a retail perspective. I think having a presence there is important. Hey, it's like a professional digital resume, but from a standpoint of like getting sales, 'cause that's ultimately what we want, right? I want my presence online to elicit people to either come to my store or to buy something online. And so LinkedIn for me is just a connector.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
in
sir.
case of Clay Corner here, do you ever do business functions where there are team building exercises, or so that, in my opinion, LinkedIn actually would be a great place to post things like that because in a former role, I always planned events, and so we've done paintballing, we did whitewater rafting, we did bowling. You're always looking for economical, but really thinking outside the box ways to get people engaged and have the stress taken away from work and have fun. And for something like this where if they're in back here, I can imagine that maybe sans alcoholic beverage because it's the middle of the day, maybe.
Your choice. In Wisconsin, we go both ways.
But the whole point is perhaps those might be the times when she should post on LinkedIn because it is still promoting her business. It's a retail situation. But the people on LinkedIn are going, okay, I'm getting articles from, left and right here on how to improve this and how to do this and team building and all that. I need ideas, and how do we get ideas? We might Google them. Whereas if I'm going through my feed and I'm like, look at, they're having fun curling. I might never would have thought of going curling. And then you're there and going, yeah, let's get everybody together and paint a mug, or they can make a painting and take it home. Maybe that's a good time to use that. But I agree, every day, probably not.
So again, bring up an excellent point there, Sarah. So when it comes to content, one of the ones that you can do is talk about your events. And then going backwards to that pillar, what is the platform that is best for that? More likely than not, if it's kind of business related, this team building, as Sarah gave an example, LinkedIn's a great one, so is Facebook. And so that way you're hitting both of those mediums. And there's nothing wrong with posting up the exact same content on 2 different platforms. One is because if we think about that pillar of a platform, think about how you engage on those tools. How long are you spending when you go on to Facebook? How long do you go through that feed? And is it different than when you go on LinkedIn? So does anyone have any thoughts on that? Do you treat your engagement on Facebook versus LinkedIn differently from a time perspective? What do you think, Marty?
Well, I haven't done anything with LinkedIn. I was on for a while, and I actually took myself off because I got frustrated with the high school kids that were coming on and wanting to, and it was like, no, that's not what this was supposed to be. I just finally, but it's a different perspective now. It's making me think. I'm like, oh, I utilized it the way it should have been. I just kept getting the requests, and I was like, I taught you in 8th grade. That's not my LinkedIn level,
Yeah. So that's a really good example of how it totally shifts.
But it could be a future employee.
Right?
Well, it's building the platform.
Yeah,
Yes.
It was more that they were trying to get their markets. They were coming out of school or coming out of college, and they were trying to get there. I'm
the number of followers.
It was.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I didn't look at it from the other perspective, or that it was actually a resource and So that's very interesting.
Well, I know Sherman and I have had conversations about when we become connections on LinkedIn, how it's so important to tailor that message and not just do that, let's connect on LinkedIn or may I connect with you, but to customize it. And that might be a good chance for you to be a mentor to them to say, I'll gladly accept your invite. Thanks so much for thinking of me. You know, customizing it yourself, but then also putting a little bit of your spin on it. That what are you thinking? Like, I'm happy with your connection, but what are you interested in anything here, or how can we do something really cool together? You know, do you have a birthday coming up, or is there an event for your mom, like Mother's Day, or still taking it a little bit further and doing that connection, but training them at a young age that, okay, now we're connected.
Mhm.
There is a obligation here, and maybe it's not a big heavy one to do business together, but an obligation to train them that I'm here to help you, you're here to help me, and how can we help each other together?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
And so one of the things that you'll recognize then when creating content is that you'll see that there's probably different platforms that are more ideally set for that. So if you want that really young demographic, then you should start figuring out how you could build a Snapchat presence. Maybe you should invest in doing like a geo filter, which are really expensive to, by the way, they're like $5-10 to make and to advertise about the same for an hour. So if you have a specific event, like I think about like, let's say the Hogwarts, the Harry Potter, maybe you could have and you want that 20-something-year-old to come in, then that's a great place. If I want those big, leadership or team building exercises, then Snapchat's not the place for it. So again, our content, once we've created it, we want to think about the platforms then that would make the most amount of sense for it to be on. And so you have this idea of documenting, journaling, talking about what's going on in the day. And some of it could just be from the perspective of, I came in here at the store, here's some different finished products. People, you can come pick them up, kind of a deal. So you're just talking about how almost the transaction works if you come into the store, because people like to feel comfortable before they come into a space. Think of it like the old school, high school, the cafeteria, where you're like, oh my gosh, where should I sit? So sometimes some people get anxiety on going to new space, which is that's just how they are. And so for them, kind of walking through it makes them feel comfortable. Think about how much we read reviews of different places or items before we even buy them. We're very heavily reviewed before we go into something. We like to have our eyes fresh and kind of made aware. The other one, when it comes to then creating of content, is you have just creating it yourself. We talked about this, Rick, right? Where you're that pioneer, you're that creator, you have that mind marketing-wise, where you have some things that you want to be able to just show to people. And so in a retail store, that's really easy to do because from a clothing perspective, I'm matching the blouse with the skirt. And I can show people this is how I pair them together. If I'm here, hey, I have, it's my grandkid's birthday or I have a newborn, here's something really cool that I can do. And we want to avoid the assumption, right? The problem of making assumptions is that nobody knows what you really do, right? So I was even telling my sons, like, and I'm kind of nerdy in this one, is that like I know like the marketing strategy of McDonald's just by being on the outside. The Shamrock Shake isn't offered all year round. The McRib isn't offered all year round. The Monopoly comes typically in October, right? Like there's these different evergreen marketing events that they do, so that way it gets us into their store if we like the Shamrock Shake, if we like this McRib sandwich, which is basically like just pressed meat. There's really no rib involved with that, by the way. With the pickles. So that's where if you have that creative mind, you want to be able to show who you are in that content. And then the other one that Sarah alluded to is I think there's a great way if you have an actual physical space to get people in, right? The Harry Potter one to me was just genius, right? And so I would have like every day, by the way, has like National Whatever Day, right?
Oh yeah.
And like National Donut Day, National whatever. I don't know. Is today Shamrock Day? Because it's today.
This week was Pie Day.
Pie Day, yeah.
Day, right.
So you have an opportunity to basically invite people to come into your space based on a day. And that way you don't think of it yourself, right? So that way you're not racking your brain and go, okay, what should we do for the next 365? Somebody's already thought of it for you. So it makes it really, really convenient that you can just kind of jump on those themes. And then, by the way, when it comes to content, or this kind of jumps into posting, is the power of the hashtag. So now you can, if you're following that National Pie Day, you can now post using that hashtag, which makes your post visible by that hashtag. And it also then, if you need a search, but we'll get to that in a second. So one of the things that I find for a lot of people when they hear about content, this is where they get freaked out because they're like, I'm already running a store. Sherm, I'm already running the retail store. Like I've already live here basically. I have a cot in the back. Or in your case, 2 stores, which is like 40 minutes apart, which makes it more difficult. And so what I think when it comes to content, in order to choose the one that's most easy, is to find a theme. So I think a lot of times when it comes to like having the content, if you know, like on Monday, I want to do like, Motivation Monday. So I'm going to pick one of it's Canvas, right? Mm-hmm. In here. So in the store, they have different paintings, but they have Canvas that you can do. And so maybe every Monday I'm going to come in, I'm just going to do a motivational quote. So I'm looking at one right now behind Sarah. It says, "Together forever, never apart, maybe in distance, but never at heart." So boom, I would just post that up there, a photo, done. That's Monday. Then when I come in on Tuesday, maybe it's Technical Tuesday, because sometimes that's a trending hashtag, Tech Tuesday. And I'm going to talk about what it's like to work in the store. So I might talk about the kiln. Hey, did you know it takes like 5 hours to get this stuff made? Or, I'm going to have something that's a little more theme driven throughout the week. And that makes the content a little bit easier, and I'm not having to create anything. I'm just taking what's already in my space and then taking a photo of an upload. And then so I would definitely be just doing this from my phone. I wouldn't buy special equipment. By the way, this looks expensive. So I have this mic. This is like $11 on Amazon. So really inexpensive. And I did step on the earbud, so I used to be able to listen to it. And then I have a tripod, which was $13 on Amazon. So again, you can do a lot of this stuff really inexpensively. Just run it through your phone. Facebook, sorry, you're getting a laptop. Laptop camera blows. It just sucks. I don't want to buy a second tripod and bring another phone.
You just like a profile of yourself.
Yeah, I like a huge photo of my face.
Sherman, if I can ask a question on content,
Go.
How do you feel, or what's your professional opinion about videos versus live video?
Okay.
I've read a couple different books and have my own opinion on it. I've done video for my businesses page.
Okay.
I've never done live because I kind of wonder, well, I'm not that important or I'm not that special. I don't need to come in at 2 o'clock and have to go, hey, check out these cabinet doors.
Yeah.
I've done it on video content versus being live. How do you feel about that, or what's your takeaway?
Okay, so great question, Sarah, about live video. So number one, live is a very unique tool in that it gets notified to a ton of people. So let's say 1,000 people follow you. It seems like, and I don't know the metrics on it, but it seems like everybody gets notified the moment that you've gone live. Like there's a big push on you, all your followers getting live. Now, if I post a normal piece of content though, not every 1,000 people get it. And so, especially on a business page, even less people are getting it now. And so that's where live has this really nice functionality that it gets notified to a lot more people than just a normal post. So that's the power of the live session. The second thing is, don't get stuck with who comes on and who doesn't. Right now we have 3 on Facebook. We have no one on Instagram. What I'll find though is I will upload it, and so it'll stick around for 24 hours. And that number will go to 30, it'll go to 60, it'll go to almost 100, depending on the content, by the time it's gone. On Instagram, I can then save it and I'll put it up into my YouTube channel, and then there it saves. People then, bless you, then people can then jump in on the content. So the beauty of it there is, for example, Camilo, he wanted to come last week. We were talking about social media for photography. It was right down his alley. But he was sick. No way he can get on that. And I don't want him coming and throwing up on me. Right? I don't. And so now he can go to my YouTube channel and he can listen to it at 2 times the speed. He can slow it down. He can fast forward it. He's heard some of the stuff before, so what's not applying can totally be a part. And so I think sometimes people, they get on these attitudes of like, oh, there's only one person on, there's nobody on. You'd be surprised how people eventually consume the content and like it. And people only want what they want. So the moment they've seen what they need, they moved on.
So the live video, does it stick around permanently, like a video on the Facebook posting for the business? If you post it that you're live,
Yep.
does it what do you call it, disable or go away after 24 hours, like you said, or is that for Instagram?
That's for Instagram.
Okay, so
and then for
Facebook's
Facebook, it's
forever.
there. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Unless you decide to delete it.
Right, okay, all right.
And people can read the comments that were left during the live
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
which is really powerful.
Yeah, plus if you are not watching during the live, like Sherman said, and you add a comment later, I'm sure you're notified that so-and-so commented on your video.
Correct.
Okay.
And so then when I finish live here, it'll tell me anyone that made a comment. So then I can go in and say, hey, we gotta go and like their. That's the engagement part. We'll get ahead of ourselves. The other thing, when it comes to live session, you can kind of treat it a few different ways here. They're great for something kind of unique, and it's just a way to say, hey, I'm still around, everybody, right? So if you haven't seen a piece of content from me in a while, just because that's how the feed's working, this is a great way to do a live session. It doesn't need to be a video. It could be you pulling stuff out. It could be, hey, we're really excited. New colors are here. There's different ways that you can utilize the tool if you don't want to be the face of the live session. I think, especially in retail, you got clothing, you got whatever that product is that you're selling. You can really showcase what it is that you want people to buy. And then, so not only is it kind of, you're almost using it like a notification tool. If you want to use it, you can do definitely like a Q&A. If people are constantly asking you questions, you say, hey, we do other things beyond the clay here. We do other things, and here's some of our ideas. Or, hey, here's a group. I want to be able to just give the team from Aspirus came here. Let's just do a quick group photo or pan, and then it's just live session. I went for like 1 minute. That's it. But then you're able to tag Aspirus in it. We'll get the tagging in a second. But so then it's just another way to be able to utilize that tool. So Q&A is a good one. How-to is another. So you're just showing people, like, you just want to kind of show them almost how easy it is to get things done. You can just go live and just say, okay, hey, look, in 5 minutes, I was able to get that done. That's all it takes. Super simple. And when it comes to then the content, posting, it seems like what's heaviest is Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and then Periscope as well, but that's on Twitter. I don't get a lot of engagement on Twitter Live versus Facebook and Instagram. I don't know, it's just that's the people that are on there or whatever the case might be. Maybe I need to do it more. It's probably what I should do. We'll get a third one, and then we'll just go Periscope Live. YouTube also has a live functionality to it. People just aren't using YouTube like that yet. There is Twitch as well. That's more for video gamers. So if you want that young demographic, that's the place to go. Or if you yourself are into video gaming, then have a Twitch account. So then the next one, so after live, is just video with subtitles or videos with text. So it could just be giving, because a lot of people are consuming video with it silent, nothing's on. We probably do it ourselves because we're maybe in a meeting or we're in the restroom. We just don't want people to hear the volume. The next one then is just video, just straight up video. I like this one sometimes the best because I can take a video and instantly upload it. So from a creator perspective, it makes it really convenient. I get a lot of feedback when it's just no editing, unpolished. People like the genuineness. They like the stuttering over my words. Sometimes it's disconnected a little bit. They like that because it's coming out as very authentic. And so that's something that I think we get a little bit stuck when we're creating content or we're having content and we're like, I want it to be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. You want it to go viral? Then make like thousands of these things. If I recall correctly, Angry Birds, I think they had like a couple apps that just totally bombed, and Angry Birds was their third. You just make a lot of mistakes before something kind of connects with people. The other thing on posting then is you have the power of tagging either businesses or people. So the beauty of it is, let's say we're here at this place and I check in. So checking in is really powerful in other communities, right? So if I check into, let's say, in Chicago, and people know that I'm at a pizza joint, and they're at a pizza joint, and it's just this huge pizza joint downtown, then we can be like, oh my gosh, you're here. That's awesome, right? Or if we check in at Disney World, we can, see who else is there that we know. But in let's say we check in here at Clay Corner Studio, I know who's here because I can see from front store, back store. But what it is interesting though is if people look up the location and they're searching in Clay Corner, what's going to come up is all those posts of people that checked in. So that's the power of you checking into your business, is that now your posts are going to be there. So you're controlling basically what's being posted when people check in at your business.
So if she was here and posted and put
Checked
that
in.
she was here, checked in,
Yep.
she would see it though. I thought it was just her friends that saw it,
Um,
not the general public.
Well, if I went to your page on Facebook and I'm going through other people's posts to the page, then I would see that Lotto was here.
Yeah.
Because we have that, we even have a little special, tag us while you're here and you get it.
And Nicole says that too, actually, and that's something that I think she probably should promote a little bit more. In the dressing room, it says, obviously, don't take a picture.
I'm like, in the dressing room?
Because you're trying something on.
A whole new
And
business.
it does the chart there just says, share us to Instagram or Facebook. And you simply take your phone up to the cash register and, hey, I did this, $5 off. So it's something that I don't know people take advantage of because
Yep.
it is in the dressing room, but maybe could be advertised more. But that is something that maybe you could do as well, is just, comment or, to put in a drawing or check in here and take, 2% off your order or whatever you do.
Yeah, we do have that.
But no, if it's on your page, I'll be able to see that Lotto is here. Even if she and I were not connected on Facebook.
And so one of the nice things is that, remember, you can do these things proactively. So people that are painting, hey, are you on Facebook? Let me take a photo for you. So the power of tagging is that you're getting in front of their audience. So even if they're not of their own volition, customer coming up and being like, okay, hey, I posted on Facebook, let me come to you. Can I tag you in our company photo? So you're in control of that content, but then what you're doing is you're tagging Lada because she came here, and now all of a sudden everyone's going to see that's following her, that gets notifications that Lada was tagged by Clay Corner Studio. Again, that's just the power of tagging business or individual.
Can you tag anyone though, or do they have to like your page in order to tag them?
You should be able to tag almost anybody these days now.
Because
Yeah.
originally a business couldn't tag a person.
Correct. There's a little bit of, it seems like you're able to pull in more on the business page from an individual perspective. It just depends on, it seems like if you've tagged them before, it seems like the tool allows you to post them in. Other times what I've done is I've just done the @ sign if I can find their name, like @Sherman On, then it comes up. So that's just because that's how the system ends up knowing who they are. The other one when it comes to posting is consistency. So for most people, unfortunately, that means daily. And again, when I know people hear that, they're like, that is too much, Sherman. Because I am not on this thing every day, myself personally. And I'd say, I understand, I get it. But what you now have is you have your own marketing tool, and it's free. So if I were to tell you that you could send out mailers, and I'm going to pay for the postage, myself, pay for the postage, I bet you'd do an unlimited amount. There's probably not a limit on that. That's exactly what you have with Facebook, is you have the ability to put out a gob of stuff, and it's all free. And you get to tell exactly that story of who you are and what kind of customer you want in there, what kind of employee you want. I just found out that it's harder to become an employee of Quick Trip than it is to get into Stanford, which is just shocking to me. 20,000 employees. And so if you ever talk to an employee at Quick Trip and they're super nice, they're known for that, is because in the hiring process, they actually have interviews. When was the last time you did a random act of kindness? Next question. In the last 30 days, who has benefited from you going out of your way? And the next one is in the last 6 months, can you think of somebody that you impacted beyond your family? And so they ask questions already about people that like to go out of their way. And so it's no surprise. You don't need to train people. If they're already doing that of their own volition, then there's no surprise then as employees they get that. Plus, now we give them a little bit of compensation to do that on top of it. Now they're tickle pink because they're just for them, they're just doing what they normally do, right? So it reminds me of Southwest when they back in the 70s they were known for kind of being a little bit of this quirky airline. Because they had this own outfit, right, and these big boots. They realized that the people that were totally open to that were cheerleaders, whether they were high school cheerleaders or in college cheerleaders. So they stopped all hiring of stewardess and only went to college campuses and high schools, and that's where they recruited from. Because when they said, hey, we want you to put on this uniform, okay, I've been doing that for a while now, and we want you to be super bubbly. That's what I used to do in high school. That's why I love being a cheerleader. And oh, by the way, we want you to wear these really weird shoes and like people. What did cheerleaders do? They got people hyped up in a football game. They love it. So they were a perfect fit for what they were looking for. And so that's really what you can start showcasing as an employer if you need employees, exactly what you're looking for. So if somebody comes and is like, I'm not really into artwork, see ya. Like, you knew who we were. There's no point to even have a conversation after this, right? So one of the tough things that people think of, though, is they think, okay, if let's say I'm really looking to mix that needle in a haystack or a needle in a pile of needles, you'd be surprised. Because most people nowadays, they want to find that needle in a haystack. It's very, very uncommon nowadays to find somebody that just wants to work for a paycheck. Most people are motivated something beyond just pay. Okay.
Testimonials. If someone comes in here and does their thing, a video of them, the experience. If that can work out, that's where then it can be posted in all sorts of different places.
Absolutely. So Rick brings up a good point. He talks about testimonials. And so you can, just like if I go to Walmart, they're going to ask me to fill out a survey. I get a taco from Taco Bell, they're going to ask me for a survey. You can do the same thing. What do you think about your experience? Would you mind if we recorded you? You'd be surprised how many people actually like being on camera. I think you'd be surprised. So I'm surprised actually how many people are photobombing me when I'm doing a video because they want to be in my video, which is just funny. And I'm just the crazy Asian out here. So that's a great one. Rick is to be able to get testimonials. Plus, some videos, it's just a different format than the written word. Lada.
Keep in mind that it's illegal to pay somebody to do a testimonial
Yes.
for your business.
Good point. So Lada brought up a good point that you cannot be paying people for testimonials. I wouldn't do it anyway. That's just a waste of money. All these tools are free, so take the free stuff out of it first. So if we go back to platforms, retail, Facebook, Instagram, got employees, YouTube, because it's just a great place. Then you go to the content, document or journal, create some stuff, have events. Again, you're not going to have perfect content. Not all it's going to go viral. You probably don't even need viral at this point because you're trying to engage with people and you want them to engage to the point that they come, right? So the next time that they have a date night and they're going, hey, what should we do? Oh, let's go to here. I saw that Clay Corner's got like wine and painting or something. I don't know if you have that or not, Marty, but maybe you should. I think wine and anything seems to go well. Thanks for the heart attack. New York Steins, what's up? And then the next one when it comes to posting strategies is the power of the hashtag. So that's one thing that's a little bit unique for those of us that aren't Camilo's age, is that we know it as a pound sign. That's what we know it as, by the way. And we don't search things naturally. We were new to Google, so Googling things was weird. But now people, what they do is they search hashtag. So hashtag date night, what comes up? What are some different ideas? And so that's where your post can become visible. So,
Back to
yeah, Sarah.
too, if you're struggling on, like, we all have those wonderful thoughts at 5 o'clock when we're driving home, and then, we can't document it. I literally used to take a calendar and just lay it out, and whenever motivation would strike her, it's like, okay, this day we're going to do it, whether you want to take advantage of the national holidays, etc., but just write down, okay, next Monday, I had a great idea, I want to focus on that wine and date night or something. And that way, when the time period comes up or you're looking at it throughout the week, you know, oh, I can schedule this on Monday, or Monday morning take care of it that time. But then you don't lose the great ideas with, then you're sitting there, oh God, what do I use for content? What do I use for content? You're writing down as Sherman's talking different ideas, and you can plan it ahead in your calendar.
Yeah, writing stuff down helps. And planning it ahead. Let's see what else. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything in our conversation. So if you feel like you're more audio, so when it comes to content, know like your own style. So some people like you're more visual. You might be more audio, like you like to talk. Obviously, that's where I am. Or you're a listener, right? So you consume things in listening format. Typically, the easiest way to know this is how do you read a book nowadays? So do you actually need the physical copy, or do you auditory it? And so podcasts, I think, are super powerful. A lot of people are consuming. So think of podcasting more like listening to your favorite talk show on your time, right? If I don't want to, if in the morning when they're talking at, let's say 6 to 7, and I'm not up and going in my car from that time, getting the kids ready, then I'm totally missing out on all that talk show. So the podcast, though, allows you to be able to get into someone's ear, literally, and intimately chat with them. So sometimes it can be a little more powerful than the written word, which they're reading in their own voice. Here they have your own voice. And so what could you talk about in a weekly podcast? I think from a retail perspective, I could be talking about vendors, I could be talking about customers, I could be talking about customer service, I could be talking about my industry and where I think things are going and what's working well. If I'm kind of more that business minded, I can talk about business strategy, I can talk about marketing. And so I'm basically using my my podcast as a way to just document. The blogs, there's Medium is one that's out there. It's basically you're writing little articles, and then you're assigning different keywords to them that makes them searchable, and then people then can consume all your different articles. LinkedIn's another one that allows now articles to be there. Again, think about the audience. If you're looking for that professional, I think that's the place for it. And then we go to posting. So we were talking about hashtags before. Is it makes your post searchable by that keyword, whatever that hashtag is. So if it's hashtag date night, anytime that comes up, then your post will be in there. Now, going to that, Facebook wants you to use a little more specific hashtags. So it's looking at around 5 seems to be the magic number, versus Instagram still allows you to throw up 30 in one post. So you can get a lot more of a broader reach on Instagram than you can on Facebook. Let's see what else. I like this one for posting, is that's where you can share deals or different last minute things. So if there's old inventory that you have that you want to get rid of, remind people, hey, I have some old inventory, come in, 50% off, got some old Christmas stuff, want to get rid of this, this evergreen tree or, this thing of Santa, cookie jar, let's get rid of this thing. So those are a great way to be able to, instead of like posting that up on your website, just shove it into your feed on Facebook, put it out on Instagram, let people know that you have these like updated deals or changes. So hey, there's a huge snowfall, there's awesome weather, I'm closing the shop early. And then just put a note on the door. Go to our Facebook page, you would have known. So if you showed up on Friday at 6, you should have known that because you should be following us on Twitter or Facebook or what have you.
Can I go back and ask one question on the hashtags?
Absolutely.
Hashtags in the sentence or afterward?
Either one. So on Facebook, it can be in the actual body, anywhere in the body of that caption. I like putting some of my hashtags after, but sometimes if I like the way that it's flowing, I'll put the hashtag right in the middle of the paragraph. On Instagram, you can put it right there in the caption, or once you've posted it, go in within like a minute or two and shove in a hashtag. And I don't know if it works every time, but I've even like a post later, like I went back to it and I shoved the hashtag into it like a day later, and it came up. I don't know how it worked. I don't question it. It just did. Made it visible. Good question. Anything else? Okay, last one is, this one's probably the one that actually does take the most amount of time, is the engagement. Because you can't, someone, your sister says, hey, saw this post, want to know about it. So she engages, she wants response. Now there is on Facebook Messenger, you can do some auto response there. Can give you a little bit of free time. I like the ability of the auto response, just because it can say, hey, got your message, we'll respond to you. And you can, if you want to put time, anytime that you kind of put a little more detail to it, the more you're going to have to hold yourself to it, right? So if an automatic response says, got your message, we'll respond to you in 3 hours. If let's say they send it to you at 9 o'clock at night, you don't want that autoresponder to be like making a promise that you're going to respond to them in the next 3 hours. So just beware. It could be a reminder. We got your message. We're busy with customers, helping keep keep everybody happy. Our hours are again 8 to 5 Monday to Friday, and so it's just a way for people to know that you got that message, even if it is an autoresponder. They know that eventually you'll get to them.
Have you heard anything about delays in notifications, such as, so I've got Pages Manager as one of the apps that I use because I'm an administrator for multiple pages. So if somebody comments on one of my pages, obviously you've got that lovely little button that says, oh good, you're responding, response quickly, respond even sooner to turn on that button, which you want to obviously get. But I've noticed that, and maybe it's because of my cellular service or something, first of all, if I'm not on that particular page in Pages Manager, I don't get the notifications. I have to physically click into Pages Manager. And then if I'm on Facebook, it still looks like a delay where it could be 15, 30 plus minutes, even a couple of hours, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, somebody commented on a picture, and I want to respond quickly and say that was rustic alder, this glaze, or whatever like that. Have you heard anything about delays or any way to speed that up?
That's a really good question. So when it comes to delays of notifications, because I just experienced one yesterday, and it was about this event. Someone was like, I thought it was about healthcare, and they posted that yesterday at 9 a.m. I didn't see it until 6 in the morning today, which is just weird. And that was because she had gone and actually tagged me in another, hey, any update on that? And so that's how I got it. To answer your question, I don't know how to get around that.
Other than being on your phone all the time?
Yeah.
refresh.
Can be frustrating. Sometimes I have heard people, if they've uninstalled an app and then reinstalled it to make sure that the update went well. Or if you haven't restarted your phone in a while, and I know Facebook did have a recent app update, at least on the Android system, because it said it in my notifications, then it might be useful to restart your phone and get everything fresh and running. Because again, remember these are just like laptops. They get so much stuff onto it. It might not be letting the notifications through. And then look into the actual settings of that page and make sure that the notifications are turned on for you. Because I know I've turned some of them off on the apps just because I kept getting so many. It was just irritating. Twitter's the one that I had to turn off because anytime somebody was tweeting, I was like, this is too many tweets. I can't keep up with the tweets. So that's the tough thing about the engagement, is that people are going to leave you comments or questions, and it's typically going to be, you can't control the time. But if you can say, like in an automatic responder, so this is typically what I've done at work. I have an automatic email response if I'm out of the office. Sometimes I'll put that on for the entire week if I know I have a really busy week, and I'll just say, hey, on Monday I'm going to be busy during these hours, and I'm going to try to respond to you within 24 hours. So I give people kind of this expectation that if their email is not that urgent, they're going to get an answer in a day, or I give them the opportunity to call my cell phone. And so I think you can do the same thing on these tools and let people, hey, I'm going to respond. I look at this thing twice a day, 4 p.m. and 8 a.m. I'll respond to all inquiries in that time manner. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a buffer. The other one is that people always get stuck on followers. I don't have enough, Sherm. I need followers. You don't need followers. You need engagement. That's more important, right? So just like here, I love that we have 5 people, 20, 50, 100, it doesn't really matter. But if I have 100 people and none of them are making comments or questions, not as much value, right? Where 5 people actually engaging with the content, that's more powerful. So the same thing is on people that are engaging on your content. You'd rather want one person that's leaving comments on a regular basis on what you post out than thousands. Would never pay for followers. So just a waste of money. Because they're probably going to give you fake stuff to begin with. They'll give you fake followers. When it comes to advertising, I would say that Facebook, Instagram, there's nothing like it. Billboard, I just shove it out there. Flyers just goes out there. Even television just goes out there. Don't know if I got the engagement. Before I'd even pay for it, I would just post up on Facebook, mention that you saw this post, get 10% off. And then you can see from that post, you can see how many views it got, and then you can know how many people said that they got it. And then you can know your metric right there. It was viewed by 80 people, 10 people said it. That's pretty awesome to me. What that means is I need to post more, maybe 3 to 7 times in a day. Now, I know when I say that to some people, they're like, holy freak, that is a lot of posting. Don't worry about it. The more, so let me give you an example. Marty, when you go onto Facebook or Instagram, how long do you scroll?
Not very long.
Not very long. Minutes, how would you say? Like minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Less than 10?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with that, I post up right now, and I post at, what time is it? Like 1 o'clock. And Marty goes in at 3. And she only scrolls for 10 minutes. How many people are connected with Clay Corner?
3,000.
3,000. What's the odds she's going to see my post? Highly, highly unlikely. Now it depends how active her 3,000 followers. I'm probably more active than most of them, so I got a lot of content out there. So maybe she'll see something. But there's really good odds she won't see that. And then add on top of that, we're now a business page. So now we're getting pressed down a little bit more. So 3 to 7 times a day sounds like a lot, but you are probably not even getting out there. To newer people.
Well, considering that when you post, what is the algorithm? It's something like 1% or less of all your followers actually see that post.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Facebook's got some lovely formula behind it, but it's not.
It changes every time you figure it out.
It does.
Yep, it does. And so there's.
And the new thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but the new thing is like for us that are out there, the more we engage with certain people or certain businesses, the more their items come into our feed. Because I had that recently with a couple of my friends where I'm like, I normally would get a lot of updates from them. And there's nothing there. And I go into one of the pages and scroll through. I'm like, well, I missed that. I'm so sorry I missed that. And then like this and comment here. And then finally they were coming back to my feed again. And it might have been with this recent change to squash business and foster more community.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's a shockingly low rate. So Sherman and I have talked about how many times to post, what's the best frequency for everybody.
Yep.
But I can totally see his point as to why the number of times he's suggesting, because considering so few people see it, it is about engagement and it's about being out there so that you are visible.
So what I would, if I'm in retail store, what I would do then is I use morning, noon, evening. So right when I get in, take a photo, upload it. Noon, maybe I do a video for like 30 seconds, upload it, and then before I leave, do a photo on the way out of the door. And then, and again, you got so much product in here. I mean, just in this back room, you have enough pictures to last a lifetime.
You could do a virtual tour if you've never done that of both stores.
There's a 360 element too. There's a lot of things that you can do that hopefully shouldn't take a lot of time. And Carrie Ann says, great commentary on the algorithm. I would say there's no value, and I'll repeat this. There's no value in trying to understand the algorithm from the perspective of it's a free tool, and try to just get as much of you out there as possible, and just allow the algorithm to work where it will. Because the thing about it is, you and I cannot actually change that unless we buy ads. That allows us. So I like the nice thing about an ad for like $10 or $20, you can like get in right to where you want to go. Then the last thing that I'd say is groups. Groups is another one, right? So you think about who your kind of typical client is. Maybe it's that mom, right? And so maybe there's some mom groups on Facebook that you could join here locally, the stay-at-home moms or whatever the Facebook is, and just add value. Don't tell them to come by, but just add value, talk to them, and give encouragement. And obviously you're a mom, so you know what's up. And then you can just say, hey, everybody, we're celebrating moms this Friday. Here's a little something, right? Here's 10% off if you want to come. And so that by engaging with groups, that's a great way to be able to get to a very targeted individual, a targeted audience. So that is everything. So any questions or comments before we shut it down? Lada.
One question I attended, Liz Knight, she did a presentation last week with Empower and Create, and she's from A-Plum PR, so she does marketing. She mentioned that like maybe in 2 to 5 years, businesses will have to pay to use a Facebook platform, so to not put all your marketing content into one platform and use a variety of them.
Yeah, so that's what I call the MySpace issue, right? So MySpace barely exists at this point, so definitely want to be able to connect with people on multiple platforms. Don't get stuck on just one.